This week we're going cover to cover on The Secret Lives of Murderers' Wives by Elizabeth Arnott. I'm Sarah Lyles.
And I'm Jamie Livingston, and we are so approachable. That title is a mouthful. It's really long, and I feel like every time I've written it down on any of the places where I'm taking notes, I write murder wives instead of murderers' wives. Mm-hmm. But I loved the concept of this one.
Yeah.
What are your 3 words?
All right, my 3 words are hidden, loyal, and liberated. What are your 3?
Okay, I have hodgepodge, quirky, and startling.
What's funny is I hear those 3 and I can put a word with each of the women.
Yes. I just thought that I was looking for a word that would be a little retro, and I felt like hodgepodge seemed like something my Aunt Opal would say.
Sure.
So I'm going with it because this book was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And kind of all over the place.
It kind of, yes. I think the best place to start is kind of get to know the 3 women.
Okay. Question for you. Were you able to tell them apart?
No. I listened to most of this. I don't know if you listened or read. Mm-hmm. And I think that did not help. I already don't do well with characters. If you've listened long enough, you know that I need a big distinction, especially when listening, to know, like, how do I know who I'm with or mm-hmm. where I'm at? And so the only way I could really pay attention is literally both headphones in, focusing, and I had to finish chapter to chapter. I couldn't finish mid-chapter.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I specifically wrote, I don't even know where I was in the book, but I just wrote, am I supposed to keep these ladies straight? No way. I literally could not have told you which one was the news reporter, which one was the Hollywood girl. And I thought that Beverly was a different person almost the entire time, but she was the one who was the mom. And I was just like, I'm very confused. And I felt like there wasn't like a specific chapter per point of view.
No.
They were all melded together. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I truly don't know who's speaking anymore. And I really just came up in my brain. I was looking at one woman living 3 different lives. I did not differentiate them at all.
I think that in that way, they were 3 different women, but yet the same. Mm-hmm. And so it was very easy to kind of shove them into one category, into one life, because they all 3 were wives of murderers. And so, yes, one worked in a newsroom and she was a little bit more independent. Yes, one was, big point, sleeping with, the detective. Mm-hmm. And the other one kind of just was there. And so it was really easy just to kind of throw them together. I actually feel like if they would have just done one person, it would have been the same. And I think that I would have been able to get some of the good points away from it. But it did get confusing with that many women to know where. Because like you said, there was no distinction saying, this is Beverly, this is Elsie, this is Margot. Yeah.
And I think that was one of the reviews that we had read, where it was like 3 was too many. 2 might have been more doable.
Sure.
Having it all from one person's point of view.
Yes.
And just knowing her friends were wives of murderers as well. Like, we didn't have to necessarily be in their heads.
Good point.
I did enjoy learning each of their stories mm-hmm. and some of their background, but I could not keep it straight. I went back and forth between audio and book, so I was probably losing my concentration during the listening portions.
For sure.
But golly, I was like, wait, which one is Elsie? What? Oh, wait. So I think I was just picturing all of them were Beverly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I knew they had separate storylines, but I just called them all Beverly.
Really, when you look at this, they had different lives, but that's a great point. This is the first time we're really talking about this.
Yeah.
And now, thinking back, I really had to try really, really hard to try to distinguish each individual one. And I look back and I go, Beverly, she's the one that stands out because she was involved in things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and Beverly is the one who goes back and visits her ex-husband, right?
Correct, yep.
And I didn't think that the mom would do that. Mm. But she was the one who had kids, and that was their dad. Right. And so Like, that was just a very strange, I would have thought that would have been like the Hollywood lady, but we can talk about this. I think I wrote down here. So Margot's ex-husband was the one who was a prominent politician, and he murdered 8 people, but he commits suicide in jail while he was waiting for his trial. So we don't really get any closure on that one. Margot is kind of done and over with it and glosses over, like, she's the one who is sleeping around and just trying to put on a show.
She's aloof.
Right. Yes. She is just kind of getting past all of the chaos and is not going to be vulnerable with anyone. And yeah, she's got a facade.
Yeah, true. And I mean, really, even just hearing you describe that, that's kind of how she was in the book. Yeah, she was there, but not like she didn't stay home with me.
Right. She didn't have a whole lot of substance. And then you had Elsie. Elsie, she's our newsroom girl. She's an assistant trying to become a reporter. So that was kind of a fun journey for me to watch. But, and she's the one who's seeking out answers and has this scrapbook, right? She's the one with the scrapbook, and she's got every news article. See, and I thought that was Beverly. I can't do that. And Elsie's ex-husband was a school teacher who stalked and murdered a bunch of women before he was sent to jail. So I think he's still alive.
Yes.
And then you had Beverly. Again, they're all Beverly to me. But maybe it's because she was an actress. Like, she was a child model and was in all these commercials. And so I likened her to Margot because she was this, like, glamorous person. But Beverly was famous as a kid and has 2 kids. And her husband was the heat wave killer.
Yes.
Yeah, Henry Lightfoot. Horrific actions left her carrying immense guilt as she tries to protect her 2 children. Yeah.
It was a lot. I mean, I had to go back and look through all of these characters because I really liked Elsie because she was like one who's not afraid to confront darkness. I mean, I'm not one who's like scared to like push against the system some. And whenever she was in the newsroom, there was points of her trying to like give her input and the men kind of railroaded her. And so now, like, did that like plant with me that was Elsie? No. But I liked that moment, how she was like, in the 60s, I can imagine in the newsroom, it's, you know, some good old boys smoking in the background and the women are like at the front or they're doing little parts. And this just kind of showed the inside of that and how she kind of struggled to try to push her way up there. But again, it wasn't set to me to be like, oh, that's Elsie. No.
Were you surprised? They did these like flashbacks where we kind of found out how the wives found out about their husbands. Were you surprised by how dark those encounters were?
I mean, I would have expected them to be somewhat dark. These are murderers of like mass murderers.
But the one like crawled under her house, like in the crawl space and like touched a dead body.
Yeah, that's creepy. Scary.
And the other one followed her husband, like, on a long drive into the woods and, like, started putting things together.
I mean, we start the book with, like, finding a shirt that has blood all over it. And so, I mean, I guess a lot of the uncovering, even of the book, is, like, how did these wives not know that they were married to, you know, this murder? And so it was good to kind of uncover that. But, yeah, it was a bit gruesome and a bit, like, wow.
That's where I had the word startling, where it looks like it's going to be this fun and quirky book, and then you get these glimpses of true darkness, which I think you have to have when we're talking about 3 serial killers. Yes. So I'm not surprised by it, but I was surprised by it. Like, I should have expected more of that, but, like, I was kind of panicking for her. I was like, oh, shoot, is she going to be found while she's in this crawl space? Or, like, what is happening? How is she going to confront it? I didn't know if any of them were going to be the ones who, like, told on their spouses or what. I mean, she ended up calling police when she found the body. I mean,
I would have.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, I don't even know. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So Beverly, we're going to call them Beverly, unless there's more of a distinctive way. I mean, we do kind of get some background in Beverly, kind of her relationship with her mom. I mean, does that do you think that affects like your thoughts on a romantic partner? So you're thinking about Beverly, you're thinking about a relationship with her mom. Does it really affect who you choose?
I saw, when I was looking for questions about this, I saw a bunch of stuff about Beverly's relationship with her mom, and I was just like, I don't care.
It doesn't like land. And I mean, like really big time, do you think back and go, do we think our lives with our growing up, does it affect who we pick? I mean, I assume it does in some ways, but do I think that it made her marry a murderer? No.
Right. Well, wasn't there drama that like he came around when she was really young, or like it was controversial of some sort, but then she still like ran off with him. I don't know. I don't think that you 100% need your parents' blessing, or that everybody needs that, or that relationship plays a huge role in a significant other relationship. So those questions, I don't even know how to answer them because I don't have that relationship with my mom, or I don't have like a super tight one where I'd be like, yeah, I need my mom's approval. But I don't have an awful relationship with my mom either. So it's like, I think she'd just be happy for me to be happy. I don't think I'm going to like marry a dirtbag because my mom did, or something along those lines.
Right, yeah.
I think that it is true, though, that you look for your dad in your partner. So this mother relationship, I don't understand that question. If it was something, if we knew anything more about their dads.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Then that I would understand a little more.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I've always heard that. Like, you gravitate towards somebody who is like your dad.
Well, I mean, because your dad did for you certain things. And that's like the sense of expectations. We all think that we don't have expectations, but in some ways, we look to a man who's going to be similar to our dad, whether he did certain things. I know for me, my dad always like took care of my car. And so when my husband doesn't take care of my car, I'm like, oh. And it's not a fault of his. It's just one of those things that unsaid expectation. And so maybe with her mom, and maybe someone else would have a different opinion. And I always am open to hear what they think. But yeah, you're right. A lot of it doesn't necessarily land. And really, does it make relevance to this book? Again, I saw a lot of back and forth about her relationship with her mom being important, but I thought, how is that so important for this book? And so that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, only because I'm like, what am I missing?
Right.
What am I missing in this book? Why is that relevant? Why is that so important? Because I feel like it didn't really land the plane in this one.
I think it has to do with like the feminist vibes and just that in that society, if you're following in your mother's footsteps of like just do what you're told and mind your own business, like I think that's probably where Arnott was trying to go with it. But in our day and age, I don't think that we are dealing with that so closely, so it doesn't land for us.
Right. And I think, I mean, even going back to Elsie, when she was in the newsroom, kind of thinking through her kind of just do what you're told, speak when spoken to. And so I could see that in the 60s.
But then there's the other lady who comes in as a reporter and kind of takes her under her wing and was like, oh no, like you step up. We're going to go investigate this and I'm going to help you. It's like, yeah.
I was over there like, yeah, thank goodness, because that's hard for me. And I'm like, speak up. Your voice matters. Use your voice. And so reading that, I was like, ugh, come on, say something.
Okay. So I know a lot of our questions, they're very deep. I want to ask you about the actual plot and storyline, though. Did you think that the ladies were going to be able to solve this new string of murders?
I mean, I hope so. I was hoping that was the premise of it. I mean, by chapter 5, I thought the detective looks really suspicious. Like, he's doing things. He, at that point in that chapter, like, had a secret that he was keeping. And that was like, why? Why are you keeping a secret? You've told Beverly everything. And, like, in your late
What does it say that he's holding back, though?
He was holding back, like, just, like, some key things. There was, like, they were going into... You're going to make me think really hard. Because I just remember thinking, like, oh, why is he keeping a secret? Because that's not like him. Normally, late at night, after their little, rendezvous. He sits there and kind of divulges all of these things that he's excited about. He loves to kind of boast. His ego needs to be stroked. I could really see that he really loved all this commending. He loved all this praise and cheer because he did something amazing and, arrested this guy. So
Right. I don't think I wasn't suspicious of him mostly because of my journalistic background and the fact that like police can't tell you all the details. So like it didn't surprise me that he was holding back information that like can't be released to the public yet.
Sure.
And I feel like it was written in a way where he had given her a couple morsels, but she knew that he had a line that like he wouldn't give her more information. So I don't think I felt like he was holding back at that point. Were you like kind of zeroed in on him since that moment, or?
I did. I felt like there's no one else that looks suspicious to me. And I think because I saw him as a man who, one, you're just cheating on your wife. You're cheating on your wife with Beverly, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. With somebody that you arrested her husband, who was this mass murderer. So you're trying to get to, again, ego, and then now you love to share the information with her to kind of show how good you are, like really pompous and arrogant. And so for me, looking at him, I was like, he's got to be somehow involved. Now, did I think he was as involved as he was? No. But I thought, he just has to do this because he wants to have another amazing case, another thing that he's doing. And so I could continuously see him caring more about what everyone thought of him than anything else.
So what did you think about, I mean, there were two other potential suspects, or maybe three. There was like a journalist who was a bummer, like just obnoxious. There was the neighbor, like the creepy old guy who just moved in, who's always looking out of his blinds and whatever. I didn't really see him being the bad guy in all of this. He was definitely portrayed as suspicious, as a potential. But what did you think about the plot line of, what was it, Hank and Peter and Sharon? So Sharon is the other wife who comes forward to Beverly and says, I think my husband's kind of suspicious. And so the ladies start to track Hank.
Yes.
And what did you think about that dynamic? That they're actually like staking him out at his mechanic's shop because the bracelet was found in his car.
Well, that was too easy. That was just too easy. I felt like that was too easy, like, of a plot line. Like, okay, yes, maybe she's going to make it be that easy. Maybe she'll make it be that we're, like, reading the actual thing. But I thought, come on, this is a thriller. It's got to have a little bit more twist to it.
Yeah. I think I started putting together the pieces, and I was like, oh, it's the son. It's the son.
Right.
It's
and
the son.
You were led to believe that. Yep.
I had all the details. I was like, oh, he had an injured hand. There's all this junk in his room. He was just broken up with, so he's got a grudge against women. Like, and that's when these started. Okay. His dad had said something about, like, stop stealing stuff from my garage. And I was like, okay, well, his son took stuff from the garage. Like, dad actually seems, like, legitimately busy and not part of this. So now I do think it's the son. And as soon as we were introduced to the camera gear when they visited the house, I was like, ooh, there's going to be evidence in that film. Like, that's going to be involved. So when the camera showed back up, I was like, ooh, it's Peter. And I felt, like, so good about this. And I was actually angry when I finished the book, and it was that this kid was being framed.
Yes.
Because I felt so good that I was like, I figured this out. Yay.
Did it make sense to you? Did you, like, understand it completely whenever they went to go address the mom to go say, like, hey, your son is the one, and then she tells them the information about the camera. Oh, that another, that detective came and got it. Did it, like, switch?
Oh, right then I was like, oh, no.
Yes.
But I also was angry at them for going back to Sharon's house to tell Sharon at that point, like, why are you going back to tell this mom that her son's a killer instead of taking it to the police or meeting somewhere else? Like, I was nervous that something was going to happen at the house and that, like, somebody was going to die in the mix because And she's like, oh, I'll go get him. He's upstairs. And I was like, don't go get him. Oh, he's not the killer? Okay, well, then I guess you can go get him. But, yeah, as soon as she said that the camera and the detective took it, I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Like, how is it this guy? And I have to tell myself over and over again that, like, I forget to put my detective hat on because I think we've been so trained as, like, a good society should be that, like, the good guys are the good guys. They're not supposed to be the bad guys. And so for the officer to end up being the bad guy, I was just angry. I was like, why couldn't it just be the schmuck? And, like, oh, now it's the good guy making the little, like,
framing the
college kid. Like, he's, I was angry. Like, I was finishing, I was like, it could have been a good book. Like, it could have just ended, and it could have been the kid, and they solved it. Wonderful. And now I have this stressful scenario where they're going and trying to find this guy's wife, and, like, okay, what did we think about the wife being tied up in the basement? Throughout the book, we knew somebody was missing.
Oh, my gosh. That was horrible reading. Like, I mean, I'm glad that they finally found her, but how disgusting. And I also want to know, how did nobody
Realized
notice?
she was gone.
Nobody.
It was like at least 2 weeks.
That's what I mean. Like, how did nobody?
It was like 12 days missing.
It was a long time. And so for me, I'm like, how did nobody, not family, not neighbors?
I mean, it's the 60s, so there's not a whole lot of, like,
phone calls.
Interaction. I'm not, like, shooting you a text. And he was still going in and out of work every day, and he's a respectful, responsible person. And so if he's not saying that his wife is gone, like, she's just at home cooking cherry pie, like, there was no reason to think that she wasn't there. I don't know. I was also annoyed at all of that because that wasn't his MO, and it wasn't part of plotting or planning against Peter.
No.
Like, this was completely separate.
Right.
Yeah, Peter.
The son, yeah.
I was like, how is this going to, like, help him? How would taking his own wife hostage or captive help him in his framing this? Like, how was he going to get out of that? Like, he was going to have to kill her somehow.
Yes. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think I ever even understood, or I don't think
she just confronted him about everything going on.
Right,
Either it was just the
cheating.
affair or what, and was going to leave. And so he was like, well, you figured me out, so now you're stuck in the basement.
Which is crazy. Just shows the madness of how crazy he is. And again, to me, I go back to his ego. He thinks he's so powerful that he can just throw her in the basement, lock her up, and say, oh, well. And I'm like, again, you just show how ugly you are. So, yeah, I hate that society is that way. We always want to point fingers and say, like, the good guys are the good guys. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And, I mean, especially nowadays.
I don't remember where exactly it was. It was near the end, but not truly where the fingers were pointing back at Roger yet. But he told Beverly, like, she was frustrated that one of their clues didn't fall into place. And he had said, don't feel bad. A housewife can't solve a murder, not even one like you. And at that point, I was, like, angry at him. And I was like, ooh, she's about to prove you wrong, and she's going to solve this.
Yeah.
And just the misogyny in that response. And I was like, I don't like you. I already don't like you because you're cheating on your wife.
Right.
And you're divulging police secrets and information that you're not supposed to. So, like, you're a bad person. But I still didn't lower him to the level of serial killer, psychopath. Ugh. And I'm, like, embarrassed at myself for not seeing that. And that's why I'm like, I'm mad.
Well, I think a lot of it was like, who's better to solve a murder than the wives? But who's better to actually commit the murder than the detective who can know how to hide the clues and think ahead?
Well, and I loved that his wife was like, well, who knows how to catch a police murderer person other than the police officer's wife? I'm like, yes. All right. So in the end, the wives really do solve it all and figure it out and survive again. I mean, there was just a lot going on, a big hodgepodge.
There was a lot going on. I mean, there was a lot going on. So I felt like, again, so the characters were a mess. I felt lost in those. But then the storylines that keep unfolding. So the cheating scandal, the continuous murders, the excitement that you open the book with about this whole thing. I mean, how did you even feel when she was going to speak in front of all of these like police officers? I believe that's like all of them there, and they're like seem like they're wives, so like a kind of a gala type of thing. And she was going to go speak in front of them. What did you think about that?
I was sad that we didn't hear the speech.
Oh, good point.
Like she got on stage and then she came off the stage, and I was like, wait, I thought that's what this book was about. I was going to hear what it's like to be a murderer's wife, and then we didn't. We got a little more of that on the TV interview that didn't go so well. But yeah, I was bummed because I wanted to know what exactly is she sharing? What is she sharing that can be valuable to the police officers? Like that, I was just curious. Like I want that extra chapter.
I also was very surprised that they would bring her to come speak to them. I thought, what? Why? Like, what are they benefiting from having her
at
speak?
Their gala? Like,
yeah, why? I guess I didn't understand the point of that. And is that something that they do? I mean, I don't know. If you're a police officer, that's something they do. I'd like to know.
Well, I think that is something that Roger was probably pushing for, because that was the person that he had arrested, and that continues to boost his name as the arresting officer.
There goes his ego again.
Right. There's a lot of it there.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Do you think that the wives were treated fairly by the press and the public?
I mean, I think women in general are not necessarily treated fairly. I mean, I hate to say it, even in today's society, we're also always ones that sometimes don't necessarily get taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And so there are points, I feel like, in this book. I feel like the big takeaway, I mean, and I'll kind of divulge in this a little bit further in my review, but that women sometimes are so underrated in how we can assess things. We know our intuition. I'm like, that is a God-given intuition. Like, believe it. Like, a lot of times that we aren't trusted or we aren't like taken seriously. And I feel like in the 60s, even more so, they're like, oh, no, like what you have to say, like, well, haha, kind of like laugh in their face. And I hated that.
Yeah. There were several points in this book where we kind of are forced like face to face with that. And it made me angry. It made me angry for these ladies. And I mean, when she got off of her interview and started getting all the hate mail, and I was like, okay, like, that's not fair. Mm-mm. Like,
why should she be slammed because of her husband's, what he did? That's not her thing. She didn't know about it. And I guess I could see them thinking, like, how did she not know? There's no way she didn't know. But at the same time, why should she be, like, taken to that level? Why should she get all this hate mail? That's not fair.
I thought they might go into it more, or they might use their inside baseball knowledge a little more when it came to trying to solve these murders. I mean, they kind of had one powwow where they were like, it could be somebody who is in a stressful situation, or you've noticed this change in your husband. But, like, I don't think that those clues actually helped them solve it. Like, it kind of gave them a police profile of this person, the suspect, but like it didn't really end up helping them.
No.
So I thought it was like a good attempt, but they ended up just using like the actual evidence to find out who it was.
Right. I mean, on the women, was there any men in this book that were actually likable? I mean,
at the end, I think we like the neighbor because he's kind of just like a goofy loner and brings snacks. And it's like, I thought you would want to eat this. But the whole time, he's just a weirdo.
I guess I kind of I didn't think of him as suspicious. I just think of him as like a shut-in or someone who was like the mayor of the street that knows all the business.
Right. But he was eating the red cereal and like, I don't.
People
he
are
just
weird.
happened to be coming out when her son went sleepwalking, and I mean, the likelihood of her son going sleepwalking and stumbling across a body swaying in the wind.
That I didn't like that.
That I didn't like so much. Or like the pig carcass in the backyard. Like that was another weird
gross.
thing.
That one was gross. Again, there's random moments in this book. I would not normally say this book is gruesome, but there are tidbits of gruesome moments that you're like, oh.
Yes. Not cool for like a general audience, but for people who are into murder and mysteries, like for sure.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. But just notice that you're going to get some icky details along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you judge any of the girls, the ladies, at any point?
I mean, not necessarily, because I think I would have been someone really trying to figure this out. And I don't necessarily know if I would have tried to figure out other murders. Mm-hmm. I think I would have just like tried to figure out the psyche behind my own spouse's murder. So I don't know if I would have actually, I would not say I judged them at all, but I think I would have like been like, okay, there's enough murder in my life. I'm not going to put my hands on anything else.
Yeah.
And so kind of looking back, I would probably say, no thanks. What about you?
I think part of my question is, what about Beverly? Because when she goes back to visit her ex-husband, I mean, even in all of her details, she has a really hard time putting like the psychopath and the father in the same basket. And so she still like loves him or thinks he's a good dad, but like he was a horrible man. He was a good dad, but so like you can't say that like my husband's not a serial killer because he's a good dad, but like what is he doing when he's not at home? Like, did you think that was weird that she was still struggling even though she knew and he had been convicted and like imprisoned, that like he's this awful person and she still has feelings for him?
I guess I kind of think of that as like, this is going to get deep, I guess. I think of the women who like have been in relationships that are maybe even currently still in relationships that maybe they're being, physically or verbally abused, and they can see the good past the ugly. Like there's joy in suffering. I do believe that, but this is to another level of suffering, and I think that they try to make excuses in their head as to like, okay, but there is good, and then they did good things. They're, but yet when you get down, when you're able to face that, when you're able to actually look at that head on, and Beverly, I don't think was able to get there yet, not within this book anyway, of like, okay, he might have done all those amazing and good things, but this big thing trumps all of that. And you got to understand, you got to think of not just him, you got to think of the families that he left without, a loved one. You got to think about all the friends. You got to think about the lives that he took. And when she's able to face that, and again, you have to kind of sit with yourself, which kind of sucks, but it gets deeper in saying like, oh, you could just tell that she wasn't past that at all.
Right. I thought it was interesting. It says, Margot comforts Beverly by telling her, we cannot keep bad people from doing bad things. Do you think that's true? Because I think that Beverly was holding on to all this guilt. Like she should have saved, like I think she felt guilty because if she would have noticed the signs sooner, she could have saved some of the victims that her husband eventually killed. And so she feels guilty, and that's why she wants to prevent this string of murders that's currently happening. She wants to put an end to it and thinks that she has the skills, and she's blaming herself. But I think that it was so wise of Margot to say, like, we can't stop bad things from happening. We can think about our response to it, and we can do our best, but you can't blame yourself.
Well, and what are the signs?
Doing bad things.
I mean, how do you know what the signs are, right? Like, you don't. And see, you think about all these things, like, I should have seen the signs, but what are the signs?
Right.
What are they're saying they're staying late at work. You're trusting them, and that's what they're doing. What signs are you looking for if you don't know what they are? I mean, this isn't a common issue, I imagine. And I sure hope so. But I'm saying, like, yes, bad people, you can't stop bad people from doing bad things, period. All you can do is affect how you respond to it and how you react. And so you can't affect other people. You can't stop other people.
Right. I did want to point out, I listened to a couple interviews from the author, and she wrote this book. The first draft took just 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, like, she flew through this book.
Wow, that's quick.
That's incredible. The other thing that I wanted to emphasize was that she said there's no right way to be a victim. And that's what she wanted to explore. And so that's why our three ladies are so different and grieve differently and process differently. You have one drinking and going out with a bunch of guys. You've got one having an affair. You have one trying to find all the details and like really honing in and not letting anything go and trying to prevent the next murder. And so I think that's liberating.
Yeah.
Was that one of your words?
Yes, exactly.
I think that's liberating, is that there isn't a right way to grieve, and we all process things very differently, and like that's okay, and you can be okay in that.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that. I can see that there's also, there's no right way, there's no wrong way, and that we all grieve in our own way. And I love that she was able to take that into a book. And so, like, one of those like nuggets to take away. Yeah, there's no right way. That we also can't point fingers. We also can't say I should have done this. It's like no. It's not going back, it's going forward. What can we do from here on? And I think that's what Margot was trying to push on Beverly. Like, okay, we can't go back there. We can't keep living back there. We need to go ahead and just push forward and leave that in the past and get over it. And so, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's great that she said that.
Okay. Any other things from the book that we need to discuss? Did we fully discuss the dirtbaggery that was Detective Roger Greaves?
I think he just was an awful person. I mean, I really tried to put my thinking cap on this one because we haven't done, any good thrillers recently that made me go, I can do it. I can figure it out. So I was determined. And I feel like by chapter 5, I was like, well, yep, it's got to be him because it's got to be him.
I'm proud of you. And I'm mad at myself.
Well, you know what? She did write it really well, though. Again, I had to, take those tiny little nuggets and pull them out and be like, You know what, though? If you go back and listen to a lot of our last thrillers, you've figured it out early.
Right. I think I was anticipating this one being more of just a joyride and, a fun, quick read.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't trying to be full detective. Yes. I was letting the detective be the detective, and that did not go well for me.
Well, all I'm going to say is I was surprised in a lot of this. All
okay.
right.
What do you think about the book cover?
I mean, I like it. I think it's cute. It's kind of fun. But again, now after reading the book, it is not what I expected. And so I think it looks more wholesome and fun.
Yep.
But
it's censored, so there's some bad stuff coming.
That's true. I love, I didn't even realize, if I think about this, her eyes are covered, her mouth is covered.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
It really
I can see that.
Truly is wow, okay. It was very well done.
Yeah, I think it's really clever, and it's definitely attention grabbing. Mm-hmm. I mean, the orange kind of screams retro. You've got the retro looks. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this cover, and I think it at least set the stage. We kind of knew what to expect.
Sure. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, this is why I picked up the book. I was like, an orange book? Let's see what this is about.
Yes.
And I'm like, Murder's Wives? All right. Why not?
Okay. So, do you want to do your review?
Sure. I will give my review. Okay, so this one's a really hard one for me to give a number. And as we're kind of diving into it, I'm still do I have a number for you? So I struggled with the characters. I've said before many, many times, I really have a hard time when there's multiple characters, multiple point of views, multiple, there's no parallels. And so when I'm listening to a book, there has to be some there's zero distinction, zero in the audiobook. And so it's the same lady reading it through, and I struggled with that tremendously. Do I think if I read it, it might have been better? Maybe. But hearing you makes me feel better. So I mean, that was really hard because again, there's 3 big people with like big characters, but yet only one stood out, and so that was also hard. I did like the whole aspect of like women coming together to do something and be proud of themselves and trying to get deeper into figuring out what their husband's background, like what were they thinking. Let me go ahead and try to serve and let me go and like solve this other murder. I think that was their way of kind of trying to figure it out for themselves and for their own spouses, but it didn't really stick well with me. It wasn't that enjoyable. I didn't hate it.
Right.
But the book overall just fell short for me. I had higher expectations for this book. I really wanted to love it because I really did love some of the parts that Arnott brought in. Again, about like the women banding together and trying to do something and be strong and kind of going through their lives. But for me, it's like a 3.5. It wasn't horrible, but it definitely does not get a bunch of stars.
Yeah. Okay, I can piggyback off of that because I agree that the concept for this one was really fun, and I had pretty high hopes for a good little mystery and these 3 60s ladies coming together. I feel like they didn't really do a lot of detective work together. Like they had one brunch where they sat down and kind of talked about it, and then they had one stakeout. And I felt like that was kind of the extent of it. Otherwise, they were all kind of out and about. I did like the cinematic quality of this. I think that the murders lining up with old-timey films and like that was very theatrical, and I could see that being an actual like serial killer MO. And so I thought that was a really neat idea for that to be uncovered along the way, that like this murderer was targeting this film student and like doing it through films. Like that just seemed really smart, and I appreciated that. But again, I was angry when I finished this book, and that's not typically a good sign because I go off of vibes a lot. And so my rating for this, it's funny because I was going back and forth between a 3.4 and a 3.6. So I feel like I can land on a 3.5 with you because I just, like, it wasn't my favorite, but it's also not the worst. This was a fun read. It had a couple startling moments where I was like, oh, dead body underneath the house. That's creepy. Ugh. But it was enjoyable. Like, there wasn't any, I'm not going to sing it the highest praises, but I still enjoyed it. And I think that other people would like to read it too. But read it or be really focused when you're listening to the audiobook, or just go with Beverly for all 3 and just see how that works for you.
I actually think this would be a good either miniseries or movie, because I think the concept and or visualizing by actually seeing the 3 different women, I actually think that would be a really good movie or miniseries.
Yeah, I could see that. And those stories would be a lot more intertwined. You could have the flashbacks that are scary and like suspenseful moments.
Yeah, I actually think that would be really good. But I think overall, like walking away, what did this book leave with me? It left me that whole like, women can come together. We are underrated, but yet we're so powerful. And so I loved that. Also, your kind of tidbit about grief and how she kind of shared about where we all stay in our grief and there's no right way, no wrong way to grieve. It's really powerful.
Yeah, I think that is a good reminder, especially as we're living life and we come alongside people. Like, there's no right way to be a victim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That means there's not a wrong way to be a victim. Like, everybody's allowed to kind of handle it in their own way, and we need to respect that and be empathetic.
Yeah, yeah. That was good. All right, so until then, keep reading.
Keep ranting.
And remember, you're so approachable. Okay, the episode is over. If you enjoyed it, could you give us a thumbs up or leave a review?
It goes a long way toward helping us grow and meet new people like you.
Subscribe to get notified when the next episode drops.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see what we're reading next, recommend new books, and join the conversation.
We're so excited to have you on board.